All right, today is Wednesday, February 14th, 2024, and there is some new Guild Wars 2 news. We have got new weapon proficiencies beta feedback update. Now, just to make sure everybody's included in the conversation, recently we had the beta where we got to try out the new upcoming weapons. Every class is getting a new weapon. Mesmer's getting rifle, Elementalist is getting pistol, and a bunch of other stuff. Some of them were well received, some of them were overpowered, some of them were underpowered, some of them, in my opinion, were just bad. So we are going to see what is in this post on this topic. My name is Taylor Brooks, and I'm a combat designer here at ArenaNet. Today I'll be discussing the GW2 Secrets of the Obscure new weapon proficiencies, which will allow each profession to use a new weapon type. Specifically, I'll be talking about the feedback we got from the beta we did in November, as well as the changes we'll be making to the weapons when they launch in a couple of weeks. I'll be going over high-level details in this blog, but I'll be sure to give the full details in our live stream this Friday, February 16th at noon Pacific time. Now, let's talk about all the new weapon proficiency data. Overall, we were happy to see people use the new weapons in all areas of our game. Some weapons were big hits, but it was also clear there were a few that could use some tweaking or didn't hit the mark altogether. And then, okay, hold on a sec. So there's a, let me turn my in-game audio down. I've got the game in the background. Let's open this up and see what this is. Seems to be kind of like spliced together footage from all of the preview videos we've seen so far. Because I recognize all of this. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a compilation of all of the stuff that we have seen so far. In the Guild Wars 2 preview things. It's just basically says coming soon with stuff. All right, Ranger. Maces were a smash over the beta weekend, being utilized by every Ranger Elite specialization in different ways. It was clear that Maces had a strong kit, but we also knew there were ways it could be improved. They were missing interaction with your pet, like most Ranger weapons. And so the first change we did was to have Oaken Cudgel apply a heal over time to your pet. This will help them stay in the action with you. Next, the Untamed Ambush Rampant Growth lacked a supportive element that other skills on main hand mace have. It will now heal nearby allies when used, so you can continue to hit things hard with your friends. Very interesting. So right now, Quick Heal Untamed, which is a very interesting type of healer, uses 2 staves. Because when you swap from, when you weapon swap, you trigger the ambush, and the staff ambush does big healing. If the mace is able to do enough healing to warrant it, then the Untamed could use like Mace Warhorn Staff, similar to a Druid, and not be a bad healer for one weapon while being a decent one with the others. Very interesting. I think the heal over time for the pet is kind of just, it's nice. I don't think it's essential for any build, but it's nice. Lastly, much of the feedback we got about maces was on the Force of Nature mechanic. It didn't flow quite right, and it was hard to achieve in natural gameplay. We're lowering the stack threshold to trigger it from 6 to 5, increasing the duration of nature's strength and reducing the time you're tapped out. You'll be growing large faster and more frequently. What's not to love? Yeah, so that was basically every time you used a mace skill, you got a stack of a thing, and then when it was at max stacks and you used it again, you got a buff, you got more powerful, and it reset your other mace skills so you could use them again. But yeah, you really had to stare at the buff that was on your bar down by your boons to keep track of it. Thief. Gaining access to axes spun up a revitalized version of condition-based Deadeye builds in PvE, along with seeing use on power-based Thief builds in competitive modes. From the people that I spoke with that play Thief in like Platinum 2, like high-level stuff, like I briefly talked to Syndra and a few other people about this, and most of them just did not like it in PvP. Like, it was so very difficult to make use of the axes in PvP. In PvE, they were dishing out absolutely disgusting damage, and, you know, absolutely were due for a nerf. Okay, unfortunately, axe projectiles were a lot of things. Consistent was not one of them. They had a bad habit of following terrain in weird ways, often completely missing your target. We'll be updating the logic of all axe missiles to work more similarly to normal projectiles, as well as increasing their velocity. Additionally, the combination of shadow stepping to a target, then pulling the axes to yourself, made using the axe dagger dual skill unnecessarily harder to use. We'll update its functionality to be like the axe pistol dual skill, so the axes will go toward your target. We'll be keeping an eye on axe after these functionality improvements to ensure it stays a competitive option with other thief weapons. That last part sounds nice. Would like to see it in action and see how it does. Warrior. The staff is breaking ground as Warrior's support weapon, and while it landed strong, it had its own pain points. So I actually did a stream of my own where I was trying out Support Warrior. Before I even read this, the biggest pain point for me felt like it was the 3 skill. You needed to pretty much on cooldown target an ally, like literally left click an ally, and use the 3 skill, then target your enemy, do other skills, target ally, use 3, target enemy, and you had to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It would be nice if it was similar to the staff, and you could just like target allies by just doing this without having to stop targeting the enemy, in my opinion. But let's see what they did. The largest piece of feedback we received was about the unwieldiness of Line Breaker. There you go. Sometimes ally targeting is not a good match for a skill. This is one of those cases. Line Breaker will no longer be a targeted skill, will now be ground targeted. Well done. This will help warriors use this skill on the fly at a moment's notice, so just like Staff 3. Support warriors also noticed that their adrenaline gain was substantially lower than a traditional warrior's. We'll be adding additional adrenaline gain to Valiant Leap and Defiant Roar to help warriors use burst skills when they want to. We know Support Warrior is still a budding archetype, and we plan to add more trait support for it in future updates. That's awesome. That's awesome, because it was absolutely viable. I don't know that it's going to be like, best in game, or it's better than Druid, but it was absolutely a playable build. However, that one thing I mentioned was very frustrating to the point that after a few hours, I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So that's good. That's good. That's good. Revenant. Scepter gives support revs the sustained focus main hand weapon they've been waiting for. The weapon was well received, but there are some big ways in which its usability could be improved. The concept of charging the skills with your auto attack chain proved to be a mechanic that didn't add much to the weapon's gameplay. It was too easy in PvE and too unrealistic in competitive. We've removed this mechanic entirely and adjusted the skills accordingly. Unlike Warrior's Line Breaker, we felt ally targeting could improve Revenant's Blossoming Aura skill. You'll now be able to place it on an ally, sacrificing damage for guaranteed support. Additionally, instead of gaining strength when you land your auto attack chain, it will build up strength over time. You'll now be able to reactivate the skill to detonate it early, with the effect scaling based on how long it's been cooking. Otherworldly Bond has also had some big adjustments. We felt like the play pattern of an upkeep weapon did not pan out the way we liked, so the skill now has a fixed duration and a fixed energy cost like Blossoming Aura. Its effects will now scale over its duration instead of being charged with the auto attack chain. I think Mesmer's the only one getting Rifle, right? I guess that's a Mesmer picture. Mesmer. Rifle gives builds like Support Chrono the tools to be a potent healer in addition to their unique tools. So there are already some impressive builds related to Support Chrono. I believe Emmy just recently released a guide on that for anyone interested in playing that, like right now. But the Rifle definitely opens some doors for some other options. I did do a stream where I played Support Mesmer in some content while wielding the Rifle. It felt okay. It felt very... it felt a little starved on clone generation, but that might just be because I don't main Mesmer that much, and I was, rusty with the class and also new to the weapon. And then also, anytime I had to swap away from the Rifle, it felt really bad until I got back to it. However, let's see what the professionals said. We were happy to see positive feedback around the weapon, but as with everything, there were tweaks we could do to make the weapon feel better to use. Journey is seeing a reduction in its casting time and its time from casting to impact, and it can now properly be re-aimed with the instant casting setting. Additionally, the delay in the explosion on abstraction is being removed. These two changes together will help your support be snappier and more responsive. We also saw common feedback that Phantasmal Sharpshooter felt like a weak point in the kit. We'll be enhancing them by having the Phantasm fire faster and strike in an area on impact. We'll also give this skill 2 charges in PvE to allow more liberal use. Lastly, we realized that the portal functionality of Singularity Shot can be harder to utilize in non-organized play. We've added a flash effect when the portal is open to catch other players' attention and hopefully alert them to take it. If they want to take it. because they won't always want to take it. The extra charge thing feels really interesting. Definitely eager to see how that pans out. Elementalist. Pistol came loaded with an arsenal of skills to give Condi-based Elementalist builds new toys and enhance Weaver combinations even further. The strongest feedback was that a lot of the animations felt too similar. We've substituted some of the simple shooting animations with other spellcasting animations to help vary what the weapons feel like. We've also sped up some casting time and missile velocities to help keep the weapon feeling fluid. For anyone who's not an Elementalist main, who doesn't understand what this is talking about, because the Elementalist can change weapon, you know, they got pistol. That means they got water pistol skills, fire pistol skills, earth pistol skills, air pistol skills, heart pistol skills, and Captain Planet pistol skills. They got like, you know, just getting one new main hand is like 12 new skills for them. And that's not even counting with like Weaver, which then combines them. So with that, every single skill basically looked like this. So they're basically doing some tweaks there to make some of them look different. Another note was that it became hard to tell which bullets you had active when your screen was busy. Elemental bullets will now display an icon on your active effects bar to help in those moments you can't see your character clearly. This was one I heard a lot. Yeah, it didn't, just to go in game for a second, here's my character. The bullets for non-Ellie players would hover above your character. So if you're in a pile of people, you couldn't even see them. So there was nothing on the UI that showed it. It was just like a little rocks or little water balls or whatever floating above your toon. So this was a common feedback I heard as well. And to finish off Elementalist, we have the most important changes. Piercing Pebble will now pierce. That was kind of a meme. There was a skill on the Earth gun called Piercing Pebble, and it didn't have piercing. So a lot of people were joking about that. All right. Guardian. Dual pistols came out guns blazing, performing well in all game modes as a new option for Condi-based Guardian. Yeah, I only heard good things about these. Last month, we updated the Radiant Fire trait to promote a healthier play pattern for the archetype, as well as give offhand pistol more space to be featured in those builds. We'll continue to monitor how it all shakes out to make sure both offhand pistol and torch have uses. As for weapon adjustments, Jurisdiction will charge faster and can be detonated sooner. This should help the skill feel smoother and help to hit enemies in melee range. All right. Necromancer. I mostly just heard bad things about the swords. They didn't do great damage, and plus you hurt yourself while using them. So the people that I know that tried them put them down pretty quick. Swords have a strong theme and interesting concept, but unfortunately due to clunky animation timings and low numbers, they left players hungry for more damage. We'll be increasing the power coefficients on the weapon across the board in PvE with similar adjustments for PvP. Additionally, we'll speed up some casting times and reduce the aftercasts on some skills so that the weapons can better match the flow of the game. Like the change to Thieves' Axe, the auto-attack chain projectiles will have their logic updated so they can hit targets on terrain more consistently. Yeah, there's a lot of issues where it's like if you were at a ledge and you fired the projectile, instead of like going like over the ledge, it would just stop. It wouldn't like go downstairs or anything. The other major change to the weapon is a rework to Devouring Visage and Consume. The design of the skill proved hard to pull off. If the projectile goes too slow, it will struggle to hit moving targets, but if it goes too fast, players will struggle to recall it when they want to. Devouring Visage will now throw the orb at your target, exploding on impact to damage a few enemies. Consume can be used after that to drain the strength of targets that were hit by the explosion, inflicting damage and weakness while granting you might. Okay. Alright. Engineer. Alright, so I did a whole stream where I tried Engineer Shortbow. I really did not care for it. As someone who has spent a year or two playing Support Scrapper and Support Mechanist, I really truly felt like the shortbow provided nothing. You had to like fire an arrow, it had to like fire, land, make a circle, then detonate it. And so because of those delays, in World versus World or PvP, it was completely unrealistic to use it. Your group was moving out of range of it constantly. So it was not really usable in those game modes. In PvE, to me, it just felt worse than Mace Shield. The shield provides prot, the mace provides regen, vigor, combos, finishers and stuff like that. And the short bow took up both hands and provided less boons. But I'm very eager to see what they're going to do here. Shortbow aimed to be a support weapon that could let you creativity flow as you designed your future master plans. This weapon was not a fan favorite, to say the least, and we knew that it needed a large makeover to get it to a spot where it matched the caliber of our other new weapons. We looked over all the feedback, and a common themes arose. Engineer Shortbow was commonly criticized for being very slow. Between casting times, delays, explosions, and pulses, it was too hard to support allies in a timely fashion. Additionally, the radii for shortbow skills had to be small due to performance concerns. The small area made the skills more difficult to use, especially when you want your allies to stand in the area for best effect. We also received feedback that the shortbow did not offer the right tools to make it more appealing over other weapon options for an engineer. I gotta say, I don't know what's gonna happen after this, but I'm very happy reading all this so far. All these issues culminated in a poor showing over the beta weekend, leaving us with many ideas on how it could be improved. To start, we agreed that shortbow skills should be sped up on multiple fronts. The casting time and delay on impact were reduced, and now shortbow skills do not have to be detonated. When an arrow lands, it immediately explodes. Interesting. That definitely changes how the weapon works slightly, but I think it'll be a lot more fun. We have also lowered the amount of pulsing components on the weapon so that you do not have to stand in an area for a prolonged amount of time to get the best value. I'm very much reminded of when they gave the makeover to banners, where banners, when you drop it, it does like, I'm just going to spitball some numbers. Let's say it immediately gives you 10 seconds of a boon, but then if you stand in the pulsing bit, you'll rack up another 5 to 10 more seconds. But the bulk of it was right there on impact, and then there was a bit more if you stayed. It feels like they're going that route here. We were happy with the concept of chain reactions augmenting your abilities, and we have reworked this mechanic to better fit the new short bow. When you use a short bow skill now, it will mark an area for a brief duration. The next short bow skill in this area consumes the mark and be augmented based on the first skill. With all these changes, it allowed us to expand the radii of short bow skills and play with the shapes of the skills. My first thought when I read that is that one of them is going to be a Batman logo. Finally, we added some shiny new toys to Shortbow, such as ways to apply protection and Aegis. Okay, that's great. Like I said, one of the biggest things when you are a support engineer is right now the go-to is Mace Shield, whether you're support mech or you're a support scrapper. And going from Mace Shield to a Shortbow, you lose boons, so you're not going to do it. One of them was protection, so they added that, and then also Aegis. I'm guessing it's going to be like Aegis on, like one of the arrows will do Aegis on impact and then pulse protection on top of that. That's very similar to how Stone Spirit works for Ranger right now. It does like 12 seconds of prot, but then like 1 Aegis on impact. It's probably going to be something like that, if I had to guess. As I mentioned before, these are high-level changes coming to the new weapons, and they arrive in the next release for Guild Wars 2 Soto. For the exact numbers, smaller changes, and preview of our March balance update, be sure to catch the Twitch live stream this Friday, February 16th at noon Pacific time. Until then, I'll see you in the mist. I cannot remember being this happy after reading future patch notes in a while. Nice job. Debut in my eyes for ArenaNet. They took feedback and are trying to apply it, and I'm very happy to see that. Like, I did not spend the same amount of time on all 9 classes' weapons. That's why I had very little to say about Revenant, for example. I didn't try it for very long compared to how much time I spent on the others. But of the ones that I saw, the ones that I spent time on, and the ones that I had gripes with, like, you know, the Warrior Staff 3, the Mesmer, like the clones, the Ranger keeping track of the little buff, the Necromancer damage on the swords, the Engineer Shortbow in general. Everything I know of, they've at least attempted to address. So I think that is awesome. That is, you know, good job. At least, you know, hopefully that, you know, that this is all accurate. But good job as far as the attempts that they're making. And I am very eager to see how these land. Very eager to see how these land. And then I guess on this topic, we'll have another update on Friday. Well, the thing will, the broadcast will happen Friday, and then if you just get your news on my channel, I'll try to have that up within 24 hours. But yeah, that's it for this. As always, I'll have the link to the source in the comments down below if you want to read back over anything or leave comments on their forums. And yeah, if you've got any more feedback or maybe anything that they missed or anything that I overlooked, leave it in the comments down below.